two can participate. Just got closed, it's fine.
Close. Wow, we are live. Do you want to go on your phone, see if you can hear me? Let you see my... There we go. Oh, beard's looking long. Anyone in the chat yet? You can see the light thing in my glasses. Let's do it. So a little play about on that. Is that you? Is it?
Yeah.
What's
Sorry,
up?
but what's up?
What's up, man? Can you hear me? It's the first time I've ever gone live, so I'm just playing about with it. So let us know if you can hear me. You turn this light off. A bit better, it's a bit dark there. Loud and clear. Ah, I'm back. Am I back on?
Not for me, you're not. Yep, you're catching up.
So how is everyone? Anyone gone back to training yet? Opening up my gym tomorrow. Going full time. I think the beard's got to come off. Looking a bit long. So, just been sitting here watching the World's Strongest Man. That was really good. Good final. Them, like, some of them people are absolute, like, machines. So, I can't think of almost the correct word of it, but just the strength. I'd love to, I mean, I know there's been a couple what have gone into MMA, but I'd love to for one of them to go into MMA whilst they're still young and still in their prime, because the athleticism and the strength of them is absolutely unreal. Oh. Got a cool little Christmas present for my partner. Thought I'd quickly show you. Little beard brush. Look at that. How cool is that? The artwork on the wood craft. So yeah. My little beard comb, even though I might have to shave it all off. What all you have trained? What all have I trained? Well, I started off with boxing. Boxing was the first thing I went on to. When I was 16, I started that. Then I went on to kickboxing. Started doing kickboxing, and I was working with a fella who was telling me about Thai boxing. Now, like I said, I was very young, so at the time, I thought kickboxing was the be all and end all of everything. I thought it was the best thing out there. And someone was telling me about Thai boxing, and they said, like, Thai boxing is just a watered down version of kickboxing. Now, even now to this day, some cases I agree, some cases I don't. It does depend on gyms a lot as well. You could get bad Thai boxing gyms, you could get bad kickboxing gyms. But at the time, I was training, not necessarily a bad kickboxing gym, but it was very, like, I don't know, commercialised, could you say. There was some women there and children. it mixed in with the same class and a lot of older people, so it was a mix for everyone. And when I went to the Thai boxing gym, it was still the same, but they had days for actual fighters, actual competitors. But so the training was obviously a hell of a lot different. Like when you're training with fighters and training to compete, it's a hell of a lot different. So yeah. So anyway, so then I went on to the Thai boxing. Then I've done Thai boxing for years, but the UFC was slowly getting bigger, and I was still watching it, and I was still amazed by it. And I actually went and see a cage fighting event with a couple of my friends, and I said that I want to fight, I want to do cage fighting, and I ended up actually fighting on that show a few years later. The same show I actually went to watch, which was pretty cool. But yeah, so from there I just went trained at another gym right next to my Thai boxing gym, and they done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu there and done wrestling as well, mixed in with the striking. But I felt like the striking weren't as good at that gym, but I was very lucky because they had the Thai boxing gym next to it, what was very good at striking. So I managed to mix them together. And yeah, so that's basically a lot of the martial arts I've trained in. Oh, I did karate once when I was very, very young, but again, the no disrespect, but I don't think the gym was all that good, or maybe I was just too young at the time. I do think sometimes people are too young to do it. Sometimes I think to myself, oh, I wish I started when I was younger, but I actually think I started at the right age, because when I was too young, I probably wouldn't have stuck at it, or probably would have outgrown it and got bored of it. But where I started at the age I did, it's kept me gripped, and yeah, I've trained hard. So, and now I've just literally just opened up my own gym and going full time tomorrow. So yeah, it's exciting stuff. Has there been any? Yes. It's really annoying. When I was younger, I was naturally quite flexible, and one of my uncles was a gymnast. He was in the Olympics for gymnastics as well. He was a very, very good gymnast, and I always think he was trying to get me to go down that route, even though I never did. But I used to muck about with him. I used to love seeing him do the flips and stuff like that, and I used to do a lot of stretching with him, and I was very, very close to being able to do the splits. And over the years, I've lost that flexibility, and because of that, my kicks have really suffered. But I've never actually been to a instructor and learned proper taekwondo kicks, like some of the really, really fancy kicks. I've only just picked them up from like my Thai boxing gym and watching videos on YouTube and just practicing myself. So I've never really been sort of taught properly some of the much more advanced, flashier kicks. So I'd like to go try taekwondo, even though I don't know how effective it would be for my game personally, for the style I fight, because even yeah. So anyway, I don't really like to fight a lot of high kicks. I really like leg kicks, like low solid roundhouse kicks and push kicks. So whether I would add it to my actual MMA game, I don't know, but I'd love to learn it and try it, and help with my flexibility, get my flexibility back, because I've been very close to being able to do the block splits, like splits out sidewards, very, very close at one point, and I've lost a lot of it because I started doing a lot of running, a lot of weightlifting, and just really neglected my stretching. And I'm surprised how much you do, I have personally lost it. So I'm convinced I could get it back again pretty quick, because I believe once you get to a certain stage with things like that, with flexibility, with fitness, with anything, with your body, any skill wise or anything like that, I do believe you lose it, but you can get it back quicker than you would going from scratch. So that is one thing that I'm gonna definitely work on, especially now. I'm focusing all my time on the gym. I'm gonna be in there a lot more, and after training, after teaching, I can stretch off with my students, showing them the stretches. So I'll be stretching a lot more. I might even do a little 30-day challenge on it and record it for my YouTube. See, do me stretching now and then stretching in 30 days time and see what the improvement is. See how much I can improve on it. So, yeah, Taekwondo definitely. Any plans on starting a regular podcast? Yes, Paul Smith, if you would come down and do it with me, I will start it and we could do it together. How about that? Got my friend in the chat. He's doing his own gym as well, which is really good. So, and he's very knowledgeable, or used to be. I hope he still is on the UFC. Knows all the fighters. Got me into the UFC. Yep. He had a VHS tape. God, people probably don't even know what they are anymore. But yeah, I had a VHS tape watching the first ever UFC on that. So. Yeah, but yeah, I would like to do more sort of podcasty thing. I love hearing podcasts myself. I love hearing interviews with fighters, hearing their strategy of training, how they recover, and it amazes me still how different it is. Some people have different ways of doing the game. Like I've heard people who do a lot of strength and conditioning. I've heard people do no strength and conditioning. There's always a sparring dilemma people go on about. Should you be sparring? Should you be sparring hard? All these different things, and I love hearing it from different fighters, getting different perspectives. So, yeah, that really does sort of fascinate me. So, yeah, I would like to do more podcasts and definitely do more podcasts discussing about the UFC as well. There's some really good fights coming up this year, what I'm looking forward to. Really hope John Jones and Francis Ngannou goes ahead. That'd be a brilliant fight to watch. I think John Jones hit the nail on the head with saying about if he could get past the first round with Ngannou and Francis, like, then he thinks he could win it. But don't know that. I mean, that Ngannou carries that power all the way through, don't he? And he takes one punch, so definitely be an exciting fight. Do you follow any MMA of UFC? What did that one say?
Do you follow any MMA organisations beside the UFC?
One championship. I do follow a little bit of that. And also Bellator. There's a few fights on Bellator. I'll try and the local show near me, the one in Southend I used to fight at, I don't follow as much no more, but I want to make a point of trying to follow more. Definitely follow more of that. So I'm a bit new to this. The chats are popping up and they've just gone down. So I just lost the last chat from Paul, the Basildon one.
Big rumour of Paddy Pimblett versus Conor McGregor. Who are you picking?
Oh, McGregor all day long. Yeah, I like Paddy Pimblett, and I used to be a bit of a McGregor, not necessarily hater, but I used to think he was overrated. But I definitely think he would beat Paddy. The only reason why Paddy would beat him, maybe because McGregor has been out of the game for so long. I mean, like, what's this all about? He's putting on all this weight as well. Like, I liked him when he was fighting smaller. I would never say to him go up a weight, definitely not. But who knows? Like, the one thing you've got to say about McGregor is, I mean, he won all that money fighting Floyd Mayweather. Although he lost, he earned all that money. He could have easily walked away from the game. Could have easily not fought. Could have easily avoided that fight because stylistically it's probably a bad matchup for him. So, and he's still been fighting and going for it. So you can't take that away from him. So yeah. What about other people in the comments? Who do they think? Who do you think, Paul? Who do you think gonna win it? Paddy the Baddy or McGregor? Who do you have your money on? I just hope it's a good fight as well. Like, for me, the best scenario would be that they both do really well and have a good battle, because I think Paddy's last fight, I don't think he done quite as well as obviously his hardcore fans would maybe have been hoping. So if he has a really good fight against McGregor, even if he loses, but he puts up a good fight, that's only going to skyrocket him, in my opinion. Even if he did lose against McGregor, as long as you don't go in there and get completely dominated, and he does put up a good show. If he beats McGregor, then, well, like, I think that would be the end of McGregor's career then, and it will definitely launch Paddy up. Paddy by submission, yeah, he has got that submission game. That's true. He's got a very, very good takedown. I'd say he's got a better takedown than McGregor, but it's just McGregor's power. And Paddy does get hit, and he does have that chin up quite high, and as he leans back, he has that chin up, and that's the one thing that does worry me. And would he be smart enough to try and, well, obviously he's smart enough, but would he want to stand with McGregor? Would he want to try and take it to the ground straight away? Because I think he would have to take it to the ground. Massive payday for both too. Yeah, definitely. Could see Paddy winning if it goes to the ground. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, you are right. I do agree there. 100% agree with both of you. I do think Paddy's ground game is spot on. If anything, I would have liked to have seen him do it more in a few of his other fights, because I'm a fan of the ground fighting. I know a lot of the casual fans don't like to see it, and they like to see a stand-up war, but I do like Paddy's groundwork. He's spot on. So yeah, I'd say in that department he does beat McGregor. But like I said, it's just McGregor's power, his precision, his accuracy with his strikes, and yeah, I think that could beat it. And the other thing as well, like, Paddy knows that would be his biggest payday so far. There'd be so much hype behind that fight. Would he rise to the occasion, or we know McGregor does rise to the occasion? Obviously, I know he's lost some big fights, but he's also won some big fights, so I don't think the pressure gets to him. Would it get to Paddy? I don't know. He's done well so far though. I mean, he didn't look like he had much pressure when he come into the UFC, did he? So some people just don't feel the pressure. Where me, I'd be a nervous wreck. I'd definitely lose. Yeah, that's one thing I've struggled with, and one thing I'm going to try and get my fighters not to struggle with. But that's an hard one. Like, I put a lot of pressure on myself when I fight. I really want to win. It's not about going in there and getting hurt that I'm nervous about. It's the losing part. I don't know why. Like, I just put so much pressure on myself. Well, I think sometimes you just got to think nothing happens when you lose. Not really. Do you know what I mean? Your family are still there for you at the end of the day, the most important things. And I've been learning that more lately. So if I ever did compete again, hopefully I won't put so much pressure on myself. But some of these youngsters, I can see that what I used to be like, where in my gym I've got a young lad, he's only 19 at the moment, and he wants to win every sparring match. Even in just sparring, he just wants to win, and I keep trying to say there's no winner, no loser, but he puts a lot of pressure on himself. But does Conor McGregor still want it? Has Rich life? I missed that one.
Does McGregor still want it? He's rich and living the life. Has he lost the desire to win?
Yeah, that's true. That's what I mean. Like, and he's been off for a long time, and it is harder to get up and train. But maybe where it might have done him good, you just don't know. You don't know what mindset he's in. Like, I think sometimes he might he might be at the stage where he's like everyone thinking he's counting him out, so he's got to come back, and he's got to come back strong, and he will be training hard. Excuse me, and training like he used to, but it must be harder when you training for a fight when you don't really need to financially. He's already sort of made his legacy. I couldn't see him coming back and winning titles like he did. I'd be very, very shocked if he did ever come back and win a title. But I just don't think Paddy's up to that standard yet. Not with his definitely not with his striking. With his ground game against McGregor, yeah, but also the wrestling as well. Like, is he going to be able to get McGregor to the ground? I mean, I think McGregor's wrestling was a bit underrated. I don't think he was as bad as what people thought. I mean, he managed to get to his feet, like, against, I can't think of the fighter's name now, but, like, he's not been as bad as what I think some people think. Sorry, I almost knocked my stand over then. Got to find out how to get these comments to stay up. I think that's better. Could someone just drop us a comment, even just a smiley face or anything? Because I've tried changing it to see if they come up. Bit.
Unrelated, what do you think about French kickboxing / Sabates?
Again, only with your question about French kickboxing, not got much experience in it. It's only stuff what I've seen and that, but again, it don't look too bad at all. I mean, I think different countries have different styles and stuff like that. I mean, if you're relating it to the UFC, I think that over the years, I think it's just proven that you get different fighters coming in from different styles of martial arts. And I don't think it's necessarily always the martial arts style. Sometimes it can be down to the fighter as well. Like, I think some people are just, as they say, built different. I really do believe that to a certain extent. And if they've got a good school who will teach their style but be open to bringing in other things as well, then that can really portray across well in the cage in MMA. Like, for example, obviously, Jiu-Jitsu was massive when MMA first come about, and then wrestlers started getting better, and then it went through an era with Anderson Silva where I felt like strikers slowly started getting better. And then you had Greco-Roman wrestlers. Now you've got all these people from Sambo coming over, doing really well in MMA. I definitely think at some point, I wouldn't be surprised if Thai boxing's going to come back and make a massive return in MMA, especially with the Thais. I think a lot of Thais fight for a lot of pride in Thai boxing. That's why they stick to Thai boxing, but there's a lot more money in MMA. And I think with a lot more gyms, MMA gyms opening in Thailand, I wouldn't be surprised if some of the young Thai fighters, or even like young Westerners what have trained in Thailand from a young age or go out there to train and fight, I wouldn't be surprised if they start picking up MMA, learning how to either defend wrestling or be really good off their back, and then the style of Thai boxing will get big in MMA, and you'll get people from a Thai boxing background fighting in MMA and winning. Obviously, we have had that. Young Jay Check, the female champion, she obviously come from a very high kickboxing background and Thai boxing background, and she done awesome. So there are people, but fighters, but I think there'll be a lot more. So what was he, Paul Smith?
Paul Smith said true. Got great takedown defence. Sabato / French is too tame. It don't sell tickets, so unfortunately a dying sport.
Yeah, it is a shame in that, because I think some of their kicks will cross over and be effective. definitely. I mean, it's like I said, there are certain martial arts which I don't think will ever do very well in MMA. Obviously, they might come across with some moves, but they've got to have the other basic, like the wrestling, the striking from some sort of kickboxing, Thai boxing slash Dutch style kickboxing, something along them lines. Obviously, I think boxing as well is very underrated with MMA. I think if I had my time again, if I was young again and training and fighting, I think I'd go to find a local boxing gym, because you can get some good hard round of sparring in at boxing gyms. And I think if you've got good hands, even shows in MMA today, if you've got good hands, you can be a very lethal weapon, especially if you've already done a lot of wrestling and you're hard to take down. If you've got good hands, then you're going to be someone very hard to beat. And like I said, you get really good really good sparring from local boxing gyms. And someone like me, I felt like I needed to spar a lot personally. Not always necessarily really heavy sparring, but I definitely needed to spar a lot to build up for my fights, because I felt like my timing would be off otherwise. So, and just the pace as well. I think as well when you're sparring, it's all good hitting heavy bag, and you can try and replicate it like the pace of and the fitness, but nothing tires you out like sparring, especially if you take a couple of body shots. So me personally, I do like to spar, definitely. Again, not always necessarily really heavy, but if you've got a good sparring partner, even if it's just someone pushing the pace on you, not necessarily punching hard, but pushing that pace really does help. So yeah. Who's still in your chat? Is Paul still in, or is he gone? I'll have to find out how to get there. So what's the first big UFC event coming up then, anyway? Who's fighting? Do you think we will see MMA in the Olympics? I don't know. I kind of hope not, because I feel like it would be a watered down version of what they do in the UFC. I think if they did do it in the Olympics, they would, like I said, a bit like amateur boxing, sorry, not amateur boxing, but boxing in the Olympics with the head guards and that. And don't get me wrong, I understand why they do it, but I don't know. I mean, you've already got the wrestling for the Olympics, the boxing for the Olympics, and things like that. So, but it would be good for the fighters, I guess, to have if you won an Olympic gold medal in MMA, if it's in the Olympics, I suppose that's a good thing to carry with you, definitely. So, but I don't know if I'd like it to be in the Olympics. What about you? Would you like to see it in the Olympics? What do you think? Do you think they'd water it down? I don't know if it's a good one or not. So. Oh. So I'm just getting used to this. First time going live on YouTube, so just having to play about with it. I think you can go live and bring people in. So next time I do it, Paul, I have to let you know, and maybe we can go on live together. See how things go. Same faults. It would become too much points scored. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, I think that's you're right. That's more what I was looking to say. But I couldn't sort of get the wording out. Like, yeah, that. I mean, would they still use elbows? Like, how different would they make it to the rule set what you've got in the UFC? And that's how I do like about MMA. It's a rule set, although it's quite complicated, is kind of similar throughout. I know obviously Pride, I know they don't fight no more, they used to do it a bit different. But there you go, there's a good question. If you could change anything with MMA rules, what would you change? I mean, I often hear a lot of people talk about this. I like the idea of trying to change the weight cutting and doing weigh-ins on days off fights. I like the idea of that. And I know one championship doing that, but if you could change any rule set, what would you change? Mr. Paul Smith. Amateur Olympic have to be amateur, so would that be amateur MMA? No headshots. Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah. So it'd be no ground and pound, so it'd just be like striking, standing up, and then wrestling when it goes to the ground. I'm pretty sure that's what Sambo, the rules of Sambo is. So it'd be very, apart from obviously they wear the top half of the gi. So they don't call it that, but from what I've changed the round times to what? Would you have them longer? Have no rounds at all? That'd be interesting. Just a straight up 15-minute fight. That'd be very interesting. Be very hard. It would completely change the sport, definitely. So what would you have? Shorter rounds, longer rounds? First round 10 minutes, second round 5 minutes, third round 3 minutes. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's interesting, definitely. I don't like. I'll tell you one thing. What does get on my nerves with smaller shows and smaller venues and promoters and stuff like that. Because I was talking today, I might be getting someone from my gym fighting on a show, and the rounds is K1, and the rounds are only 2 minutes long. And I just don't think 2 minutes is long enough. It just makes it too much of a fast pace, makes it too sloppy. So you just got to go run in there and just try and knock the person out, sort of thing. Because that's what I feel ends up happening. Where if you know the rounds are a bit longer, I feel like you have to pace yourself that little bit more, but makes it a bit more interesting as well. Like if the rounds are short and you've only got 3 2-minute rounds, it's like a sprint. But like the idea of the first round being 10 minutes. But like I said, I can't like the idea of no rounds, just 15 minutes, go, boom. And no different for the title fight either. I don't understand why they have 5 rounds for the title fight. I don't know. It completely changes the fight. Like if you're a fighter, you've been training your whole life for 3 5-minute rounds, and then you've got to do 5 5-minute rounds. It's a bit much in my eyes. We just want to what was that? I missed that.
We just went to an interclub. Juniors were 1-minute rounds, adults 1.5 minutes.
Blimey, that's even shorter. See, what was that like? I bet it was just a bit fast paced and messy. Juniors, maybe I can understand because they're it's a bit more scrappier anyway, and it's more about getting them used to it. You don't really want anyone getting knocked out or anything like that, anyone setting up big strikes. But imagine if you're a fighter what likes to set things up. Like, you don't really get time to. There's no sort of feeling out process almost, is there? That's what I think anyway, in rounds what are so short. But 1.5 minutes, yeah, don't know. I wouldn't like to fight 1.5 minutes. I feel like I'd have to sprint it. But yeah, so that 1.5 minutes. But on the flip side, 5 minutes is a long time to fight for. Like, as you know, when you're in there, it feels like it's forever sometimes, and then when it's over, it's like, where did that go? I want to go again. But yeah, I think a minute and a half is definitely too short. But you got to break the bridge from being someone who's not fought to someone who's fighting, and sometimes you've got to go on these different smaller shows, smaller venues. Like, if I've when I train people, if I've got someone who wants to fight in MMA, I'm going to get them doing a lot of kickboxing shows first, a lot of Thai boxing shows, getting them doing grappling tournaments, just getting them used to actually competing in front of a crowd. Like I said, like what I had, so I don't feel the pressure of fighting in the crowd. Go down that route. I would like to see the UFC do a super fight now and then two big.
Big names, no rounds, and fight to KO or submission.
Yeah, well, no, yeah, so no rounds, so there has to be a winner. So someone either has to tap or, yeah. I mean, that's the true way of fighting, really, ain't it? That is the true, like, that is the closest thing you're going to get to a real fight. Because in a real fight, if you're fighting, it's like, it's still the other, still someone gives up, really, ain't it? That is the be all and end all of it. Someone gives up, someone gets knocked out. So yeah, they do that in the jiu-jitsu tournaments, don't they? Now and again. So don't think it's always fan friendly. That can be the problem. Maybe the really super fans would enjoy that. So now and again, but I think the two problems with doing that is it's not going to be good for the promotion, because, like I said, it could end up being a boring sum of the fight, because there's no time limit, so you're going to have to be patient because you don't know how long you're going to be fighting for. And the other reason is obviously it's going to take a lot out of a fighter. Like, a fight like that, could you imagine if it went on for like over half hour, 45 minutes, or even an hour long fight like that, or a brutal fight, and none of you are giving up? Like, that can make a fighter's career even shorter than what they are sometimes. So I think that's two of the problems. But for a super fan like me, I would love to see that, definitely, and I think some people would. But for the casual fan, I think they like to know when it's going to end. I mean, you know what it's like, people are so busy and stuff like that. They know shows on, the fight's only lasting 20 minutes, and they could do stuff after. If you don't know how long a fight's going to last for, like, I don't know, say you've got stuff to do after the fight, well, you don't know when that fight's going to end, so you've just got to wait till the end. And if you're a big fan, you're not going to want to sort of like pause it or anything like that. You're going to want to see it to the end. So I think there are the two problems what the UFC would face having doing that. But every now and again, yeah, definitely in the super fights. I mean, maybe someone like Conor McGregor, the stage where he's at the moment, he should do that. Something along them lines. But who would he fight doing it? Who else is in the chat with us? We've got 3 people in here. Oh. What about the old 12 to 9 elbow? What do we think? Is that stupid? Should that be banned? I mean, they banned that elbow, but I think there's just as much dangerous other elbows. I can kind of see why, because elbows are brutal, but elbows are just brutal in general, so I don't think they should. Nate Diaz. What, McGregor 3? Nate Diaz, McGregor 3, no time limit. That'd be good. That would be good. That'd be very good. And that'd be right up Nate's street as well, because he just goes on forever, don't he? So, I mean, how would you train for that? How would you train someone for a fight that don't know how long it's going to last for? Do you train them to go as hard and fast as they can straight away, try and win it quickly? I suppose it depends on who you're fighting, but if that fight was to go ahead, I'd be saying to McGregor, you need to finish this fight quick. Right? You need to knock him out quick. You can't stand with him too long, because if Nate puts the pressure on you and tires you out, then you've had it. I wouldn't keep that, but get rid of oblique kicks. Yeah. I mean, it's so awkward, ain't it? Like, oblique kicks, because they can ruin people's careers and that. But I've heard some fighters say, well, what's the difference between that and getting head kicked? Like, head kick can ruin your career, but it could potentially kill you even. But the oblique kick, yeah, it's naughty one, ain't it? I mean, yeah, definitely. Do you know what I've always thought? Do you know when fighters catch someone's leg? I've always thought, what happens if they catch that leg and they oblique kick the leg they're standing on? Like, that could literally just snap your leg, couldn't it? Or at least blow your knee out. Definitely. That, like, I mean, the oblique kick's dangerous enough as it is. But then also, I have seen a lot of fights where fighters using the oblique kick, and it's not done nothing to the opponent. It just jars their knee back a bit, but it's not injured them or stopped them. I mean, if you look at John Jones, he used to throw that kick all the time, but I might be wrong, but I don't recall him ever actually stopping anyone with it. It's just more of an annoyance. But I think it's such a scary move as well. It does put fighters off from coming forward when someone's always using that oblique kick. So yeah, it is a bit of a naughty one. So I can understand why you would say you're not allowed that. I mean, some shows say you're not actually allowed to kick in the knee. I've heard shows say that as well in their rule sets, in the rule meetings, that I've heard them say you're allowed to kick below and above, but you're not actually allowed to kick the knee. Now, the oblique kick, alright, fair enough, you can kick the fire, but if they kick the knee, then it is. John Jones used it a lot, but didn't think he injured anyone. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It does get used a lot, but I don't think people get as injured as much as you think they would. But the potential to injure someone is very bad, because if you do manage to land, like I said, imagine that scenario: you catch someone's kick and you oblique kick the other leg what they're standing on, and it blows their knee out, and you end a fighter's career. I mean, it's almost like sad. Do you know what I mean? Like, as a fighter, I want to beat my opponent, but I've never fought someone I thought, I want to end their career. Definitely not. Like, you don't want to sort of, you want to beat them, but you don't want to sort of like completely put them out of the game. Do you know what I mean? Well, some fighters obviously do when they have beef or whatever, like they don't get on. But me personally, I wouldn't want to end someone's career like that. I just want to win the fight. If you knock them out, you knock them out. That's part of it, but not into someone. What about soccer kicks? Bring back pride. Ha ha ha. I think the problem with that is from the not necessarily maybe the casual fan, but from people looking in at UFC. I mean, it already looks bad enough it is people fighting in the cage and that. And I remember having an argument with this older fellow at work, and he was saying cage fighting it's no skill to it. They're just animals fighting in the cage. And I was and he was saying boxing very, very skillful. And I was trying to explain to him that MMA is skillful. And then, you click on a pride fight with someone loud on the floor and someone's soccer kicking. But I suppose again that's what happens in real fights, and that's what the UFC was first about, meant to be no rules and stuff like that. I mean, it would change, again, it would completely change the game up. It would change the way people sprawl from takedowns, because if you get caught in a turtle position and you can knee to the head or stand up and soccer kick, it does completely change the game plan and strategy. But it's like left way. A lot of Thai fighters go into left way and then they get stuck when it comes to the clinch, because they get caught in a Thai clinch and then they get someone jump forward and headbutt them, and it completely changed the style of the Thai clinch. Completely changes the style of the Thai clinch just because of headbutts, just because of changing one simple rule. And yeah, so that's like this. It will be the same with the soccer kicks in MMA. That one rule, because soccer kicks are so devastating, that would change the way people would fight, or people would get put in different positions, definitely. So, I mean, like, you know, it's like when they get stuck up against a cage and they're putting their hand on the mat so they can't get kneed to the head or get kicked to the head. Well, that wouldn't matter anymore, would it? So when people get stuck up against a cage, they'd have to move, or you're going to get soccer kicked or kneed in the head and knocked out. So definitely would change the rule set. But that's why I think the 12-9 elbow, I don't think that would change it much. I don't think that would change the way people would fight. All the elbows there, people throw the 12-9 anyway. All they do is they start like that, and at the very last minute they just turn it, don't they? You see them do that, and that's allowed. They're just not allowed to go straight down. What's the difference between that and then coming down at the last minute? You're still going to generate the same sort of power in my eyes. So, but yeah, soccer kicks, I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't know if I'd like to see it or not. Why not? Sod it. But then would you allow headbutts? Do you think headbutts should be involved in it? Completely change up the game again, wouldn't it? Like the headbutts in MMA. Going back to the old school, Paul. No rules, yeah? Right, anyway. I think I'm going to wrap that up now. I just thought I'd come on, do a little live stream. Not done one before, but I'm going to do some more of these. I'm going to do live stream some of my sparring eventually, I think, as well. So that'd be good. And yeah, Paul, get in touch with me and we'll get a podcast going, definitely. Speak to you soon. Bye.
Paul's just calling it again.
What's he say?
Do you think the gloves should be changed to stop eye pokes?
Am I still on live? I don't even know if I've turned it off.
I can still see you.
Well, I'm still on live. I don't know. I just don't know how they would change them to use. I don't know. I mean, I've heard about them changing so they force your hands down. Don't mind that one, because when you grapple, you're more like that anyway, I think. So you don't necessarily need to have the hand wide open, but I just think eye pokes are going to be one of them things they've got to deal with. So, yeah. Anyway, I'll catch you later then. I'm out of here. Right, let's find out how to cancel this.